What's up, guys, and welcome back to another video here to another tutorial here on my channel. And today we're going to be covering the image you saw on the thumbnail already. So without just talking around, let's just just dive right into it. So yeah, just get rid of the default cube like I just did there. Kill the default cube. Uh, Poor default cube. And now we're just going to be making a plane and scanning this plane to just all three right here, and then you can adjust it a little bit slimmer. So I'm just put it to like 1 or something. Yeah, 1 should do fine. Not 1, maybe 1.5. Yeah, 1.5 is better. Maybe not 1.5, maybe 1.25. Let's see, let's tweak it. Yeah, that's good. 1.25, that sounds good. And also my X scale is gonna be up to 5, just like that. And now we have this plane, and we're gonna be creating another plane and just rotating that plane on the y-axis, up on the x-axis, sorry. So let's just rotate it by 90 degrees, so it's 90 degrees up, and move it over to here. Should be same value that we set on here. There's 1.25, so we can also put this y value to 1.25, and should be exactly there. And that's good. So let's scale him up to 5 now. So he just hits the edges right here. And just do the same thing over here. Copy him over and put minus 1.5. 1.25 actually. There we go. And now we have our walls done. And I'm just going to be creating the gate now. So it's going to be really easy. We're just going to just copy this plane right here. Rotate it by 90 degrees on that axis. Not by 90, sorry, by 100 degrees actually. And this one is minus 100. Minus 100, there we go. And now we'll just scale it and make it a little bit smaller here on the y-axis. Why do I keep saying the wrong axis? It's x-axis. Okay, so it wasn't the x-axis, it was the y-axis. I'm stupid. Okay, so let's move it back here and put it here to 5. Just follow the scale I use, because it's just gonna be the best. You're gonna get the best looking results, like the closest to what I'm intending to get. So minus 1.25 right here, and then just 100, not minus 100. So now we have these gates, and they look a little bit thin because they're just like one thin plane. So let's put some thickness on here. So just go to the properties, add modifier, and put a solidify surface on here. A solidify surface. Not a solidify surface. Just put a solidify. It's just called solidify. And then make this a little bit thicker to about like 0.5. Okay, that's too big. 0.05. Yeah, 0.05 is going to do it. Let's do the same thing over here. Solidify 0.05. Oops, it's going the wrong direction. So we actually have to put minus. There. And that's looking pretty good. Let's just see, I can't even speak, how big this gap is. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with that. So, let's just position our camera now. I want it right here. And I position it there by pressing Control Alt and 0. Some people actually still ask me that, so that's how you do it. Control Alt 0. Here, look, you can put it wherever you want, but I want it there, so yeah. So let's not play around with that. Let's play around with the camera and get this rotation right. So 90 on this, 0 on that, and 90. Actually, minus 90. Wait, we can just put 90. No, you have to put minus 90. And yeah, that's looking good. Let's rotate it up and then put it, let's center it before we do that. There we go. And then move it back and down. Very slow. There we go. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to make our little like guy that is standing there. So just I'm gonna just import him. So I don't know if you can drag and drop in Blender. Okay, that didn't work. Let's go to File, Import. It's gonna be an OBJ. Import him, and he's gonna be in my projects and in my folder in my videos and part 7. He's gonna be called male low. It's gonna be a low poly object like this. And if you follow my scaling on the objects, he's gonna be giant. So let's. You can focus on objects by pressing the dot between 0 and enter on your numpad. So let's rotate him. So he's looking at the gate, and then just move him back. Why am I clipping in there? Just move him back until he's standing somewhere where you like it. I'm just gonna make him smaller. Let's see. Let's hide it. Let's hide everything. Yeah, that was pretty good. That's a pretty good scene. Yeah. So let's start by adding the materials. And before we actually do that, I forgot one thing. We gotta add that like a bright shine that is coming from the gates. So that is just going to be like, I'm just duplicate the floor and rotate the floor up by 90 degrees, just like this. Then move it back, and boom, we have our light. Nothing complicated, just fast. Let me just actually scale this a little bit more so it goes behind the light. Move it a little bit. There we go. We still seeing the floor right? Oh, that's close. Let's move it back a tad. There we go. Okay, now we can hop on over into our rendered mode, and yeah, as always, I forgot to put it to Octane. So put it to Octane, and before you do that, actually not before you do that, but start your render server. I still forget a lot of times, often. I still forget it often, so just do that. Saves you some clicks. And here, we'll just start by making the walls, actually, like the mountains you see, like the rocky stuff you see on the walls. So let's start by making those. And let's go here and go to our shader editor. Make a new material. We can use the default material, but I'll just delete this and get a, it's actually going to be a metal material. So plug that into the surface and put this to Octane. And yeah, it's applied on there. So let's also apply it on this one. Default material, I'll just call it wall. There we go. Ah, it's looking trippy. Like an infinite floor. That would also be a cool render, like something infinite. Anyways, catch me off guard. So let's. There's gonna be in the files below, in the meteor file download. There's gonna be mountains depth and mountains normal, so we can get the best shadow and bumps. So let's plug this normal into our normal. Yeah, that makes sense. And then plug our depth into a if I can type, displacement, and put it right there. Put it into texture, and then put the out displacement into your displacement, and put this to 8K because it is a 8K map, so put it to 8K. You don't have to put it to 8K, but I would recommend it. So now I'll just play around with the height until I get something I like, and I actually got it wrong. So this plane right here has to be rotated by 90 degrees. Just like that. Not 90 degrees, 180 degrees, sorry. So rotate that by 180 degrees, and yeah, that's looking good. I think we could just get a little bit more displacement on these. Yeah, that's looking cool. And now I will go over to these things, to the walls right here. It's going to be something really quick. It's also just going to be a metal material. So, it's going to be a metallic material. Metal material, sorry. And then put the roughness, just bump the roughness up to something really high. Like 0.25, I think I had it on my render. No, I think even higher, like 0.5. Yeah, I think I had it 0.5. So make that 0.5. I'm just call this doors, if I could type. And then the back strip right here, make a new material and make this a glossy material. No, not a glossy, a diffuse material and a emission, black body emission. I'm working kind of slow today. So just plug these into each other, like black body emission goes into emission, diffuse material goes into surface, and then get a RGB spectrum to define your color. So surface brightness right here, check that, so we have it distribute evenly across any surface. And the power, we can put that to like 50, not 0.5, 50. And let's see, is it applied? Why is it not showing? Let's apply it again. Did I select the red thing? Wait, let me just restart the render. I don't know if it's emitting light. Is it emitting light? I think it is, but really dimly. Let's turn off our power here. It's not. Oh, okay. It's basically facing the other direction. So if something like this happens to you, check double-sided, because yeah, that's gonna fix it. And I just noticed that we're missing here the outside, so we can see the outside. That's not good. Let's move our camera in a bit so we don't have that problem anymore. Move it in, and I'll actually move it down again and just make it face up, just like that. That's beautiful. Make it even move a little closer, move out a lot more, move it down. Yeah, it's looking way better. Actually, maybe not that much tilt. Like this. There we go. Okay, yeah, that's looking fine. Our walls, I'm also going to make them be a little bit closer, actually. So Y, I'm just put it to -1, if that works. -1. That's a little bit too much, so maybe 1.2. 1.2? That doesn't make sense. -1.2. Oh yeah, that does make sense. I'm stupid. So also on this one, 1.2. Just a tad closer. But you know, these small things actually do a lot. So the power, it's way too bright. So let's turn this way down. Not that much maybe. But something like this. Like 1. That's already so bright. I don't know why. Maybe because we're working on a small scale. So let's actually change the light. So let's pick a cool color. Pick a cool color. I usually like going with blue. And this like icy blue actually does look really cool. So I'm going to stay with this icy look. Just like right there. And now I'm going to play around with the iridescency of our walls. So let's get the walls to look right. So put this to 1, film width, and film index 1, and the film width. Let's bump that up to something cool. I love playing around with iridescency. It's my favorite thing. And maybe actually put this back to default. As I said, my favorite thing. And I'm actually just playing around right now. So just feel free to do whatever you want. You don't have to exactly follow this. And yeah, that's looking cool. Maybe a little bit too much, like, it has that orange tint to it, which I really don't like. Oh. Look, just these tiny things change so much. These tiny, like, moves that I do change so much. This blue is looking really nice. And I just get this blue, maybe film with, go really far up. And then see if we can just get that blue color to be there. Okay, no, I can't get it. So I'll actually just stick with what we had here, the first couple like ticks. This looks awesome. This also looks really cool. I'm actually just going to stick with the default one, I think. Yeah, and then I'm going to add some more some puddles, some water on the floor. So how you do that is actually really easy. Just make a new material and put a glossy node and put the roughness to 0 and just plug in a noise like a type and noise. Put a noise here, don't plug it in yet, and put a gradient texture and roughness. It's gonna be, you're gonna not get any puddles. I mean, you actually do see some, yeah, it looks a little bit like there's something is happening. So let's change that. We can change that by just dragging this black slider in by a lot. You start to see there puddles are popping up, and then just drag this white slider back into it too. You can start to see we're getting a lot of puddles, but that doesn't really look good when we have this much puddles. So let's turn our octaves down. It should give us less puddles than our omega. Is this actually giving us more puddles? Yeah, okay, sorry, it's the other way around. So more octaves and more omega gives you tinier puddles. And yeah, that's that. We can also pluck a transform node. It's a full transform, not transform. It's a full transform. So plug that into transform, and then you can actually just scale it up by a lot, so you get rid of some puddles. Just like that. You can make like giant puddles if you scale it up a lot. You can make big puddles. But I actually liked when we had like these small puddles here. Yeah, this like that. That looks pretty cool. And now, as always, we're going to add some depth of field to our scene, because depth of field can never, I can't go without depth of field. It just has to be depth of field. There has to be depth of field. Because that just adds so much to the scene. Okay, so put this you're actually just gonna put on the human. If you watched the last tutorial, I showed you guys this trick where when you put it in front of the object that you want to focus on, it actually blurs the background a bit. But we don't want the background. I can't speak. We don't want the background. Oh my god. We don't want the background to blur because we want to see this gate. So we want to clearly see that gate. I was just about to mess it up again. So just put it on your human. I'll just scale it down so it's just a little bit more compact, and then go back to my camera and go to this like little camera setting down there, and go to the autofocus, uncheck that, go to here, get your empty or whatever you want to focus on. It doesn't have to be an empty. You can also just select the object you want to focus on, but I'm using an empty because I can always just move around my empty without changing the actual look of the scene, without actually moving any like objects. So that's good. Let's hop back into render mode and see if we have to adjust our aperture. Yes, we have to. I think we actually left it at 0. Yeah, 0. So let's bump this up a bit and see how that affects our scene. That's a little bit too much. We're actually getting a little bit. Blur that a little bit more. A little bit more. Okay, wait, do we start to see? Okay, we're starting to see our background blur, which is not good. Why is he so big? I want it a little bit smaller. Yeah, I think that is looking pretty good. Yeah, that aperture is okay. So here, just take a look at it. It's 0.5. 0.5. And then I'm actually, before we do that, I'm going to, before we change anything in the scene, I'm going to just make it look how it looks in the final render. Because right now, we're just seeing the raw thing, and you have to check Octane Camera Imager. Just check that, and this is how it's going to be looking in the final render. If you don't want it to look like this, you can play around with the exposure right here. I'll just turn it up again. It will look like before, basically, almost. And yeah, so I actually did this wrong, so it's something to keep in mind. So when you're working with your scene, the first thing I would do when you're looking at the render mode, the first thing I would do is check Octane camera imagery, because that is going to show you how the final render is gonna look. So do that. It's just something important to know. So I'm just playing around the power here. Actually make it a lot brighter. And yes, that's looking really good. That's starting to look really good. And I want to use a different color here because I just kept using blue. I want to use a different color. So all of this, I think, I don't know if somebody, I mean, if you like using green, sure, do it. But in my opinion, the best colors to use on the color spectrum right here is the right half right here. Like if I just put my mouse just where this little dot goes right here, the middle, just down the middle, and all these colors that are on this side, I think they're good for like using in renders. But I just keep using blue for some reason. I don't know. I just really like blue. Even though green is my favorite color, I really like blue, but in renders. So I'm just actually going to stick with blue again. You can change it up. I don't really care. You can change it up. And also, if you made it this far into the video, actually just hit me up on Instagram and like tag me on your posts so I can see your work. I'm really interested in what you guys actually do. So, and how your renders turn out. So I'm really excited to see you guys recreate this. And I think I'm going to just say this is done. And before you render it, let's just go through our render settings. I'll turn on down here. I'll turn on Octane post processing, and put my bloom power to 25. That is not too much. 25 is a little bit too much, so maybe 20. I actually like a lot of bloom, so 15. Yeah, 15 looks good. And my glare, I'm not gonna use the glare here. So denoising, yes, give me denoising. And yeah, I would say this render is done. So if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button so I can see that you guys liked it. And also subscribe so you can stay up to date and get notified whenever I upload, so you can watch these tutorials and get really good at making these artworks. So guys, again, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be back in a week or so. I don't know. I'll be back. Okay guys, goodbye, stay creative.